Well, would you look at that? It's the time of year where we stop talking about what we don't like, what we wish could be, what we wish hadn't been, and instead we just say thanks for the things that we do have. Hello friends, I'm Das Food, and I'm not really going to explain this one just a whole lot because I think the video is pretty self-explanatory. It's a Thanksgiving video. So what I want to do here is I want to go through the entire killer roster and say one thing about them that I'm thankful for, one thing I'm really glad that they added to the game, and just kind of try to put some positivity out there in that regard. So if you agree with my choices, please do like, subscribe, do the whole thing, and let me know down in the comments how you feel about these entries. Also, just before we get going, I put all of the killers' names into a randomizer. This is up to the point of Chucky, and basically I did that because every time I do a list like this, we start off, Trapper, Wraith, Hillbilly, Nurse, and I just kind of thought it'd be more fun to keep it a little random in order. So that's why they seem to be in random order, is because they are in random order. So with all of that out of the way, let's get this one going and start off with number 1, the Dredge. What I am thankful for when it comes to the Dredge is I'm really glad that Dredge returned it to a place where the anniversary chapters were original, because we had gotten into that habit where it was a lot of licensed chapters for anniversary, and I was really glad because for me, I get the point of licenses. I get why they're important. I get why people like them, yada yada. I get all of that, but I am more of a fan of the original chapters, and I like that this started a trend where, we got the Dredge, and then the year after we got Singularity. So hopefully they keep that up, and I think that anniversary chapters should be a celebration of DBD, not a celebration of an existing license. So that's my 2 cents. Some people are probably going to disagree with that. But also, another thing to be thankful for with the Dredge is just how cool it is that we got this eldritch horror of a killer. So overall, lots to like about the Dredge, but yeah, those are my choices. Next, we have a very, very recent one here, and that is the Xenomorph from the Alien chapter. And what I am thankful for with this is that it just looks so good. I think this is debatably the best that the Xenomorph has ever looked in any piece of media ever, though I would probably lean towards something like, there's something about the original look of it in the first film that's just so spooky, even if sometimes a little maybe clunky in the suit. So, to each their own. But for me, I think that this is one of the best looks the Xeno's ever had, and on that note, I'm thankful that they gave us a big selection of skins, and they're all really cool in their own way. So with this one, I think the look is what I have to lean on here, because, as discussed in the most recent video, there were some things people did not love about this chapter, but one thing you will never hear people complaining about is the actual aesthetic of it. I think it just looks so good. Next up is Adirus the Plague, and with this one, I think what I will go with here is that I'm thankful that while her power it's not necessarily one that I would say is the most fun thing to face on planet Earth, I do think it's one of the most inspired powers in the game. If you had told me that we'd get a vomit-based killer before a werewolf, a pirate, a vampire, any of that, I wouldn't have believed you, and yet here we are. I'm also a big fan of the way that Adirus opened the door for other killers to have voice lines outside of just, grunts and laughs and all of that. So I wish it had been in time for Freddy to get some voice lines so we could have gotten proper Freddy, but I mean, there's a lot of regrets with the Freddy chapter, so I guess we can't really hold that against Adirus here, and it's better to arrive late than never at all in most cases. So yeah, I'm thankful for the voice lines and the unique power. Next is Doctor, and for me, this one's very personal because when it comes to Doctor, what I'm most thankful for is the nostalgia that this character makes me feel. I know there are killers who have been in the game longer, but for some reason, Doctor just takes me back to the days of low-res textures, Noob 3 videos, and all of the old things that I used to really love about Dead by Daylight. He also used to switch stances back then, which is really nostalgic and really cool to see. So with Doctor, I realize, again, this is one that most people aren't going to relate to, but it's just the nostalgia of the character that I really, really like. Next, we have Demogorgon, and wow, this one is easy. I'm happy that the Demogorgon and I'm thankful that the Demogorgon and Stranger Things are back in the game after a period of being MIA. It's great to have the Demo Puppy back in action, and I'm glad Stranger Things fans who missed out on the original chapter are actually able to purchase it now. So, that's pretty much cool all around. And then also, because for some of these I'm adding a second thing, I'm also thankful that the Demogorgon is debatably the most well-balanced killer in the game, which that's a pretty big deal. That's cool to see. Next up, the Cenobite. And look, I know, I'm in the minority here, but I am thankful for the Cenobite having one of the most engaging powers to face off against as a survivor. I love the Lament configuration as a concept, and I hope it leads to a greater focus on secondary objectives in the future, though seeing the outcry from it being added to the game, I don't think it will, but I hope it does. Dodging chains can be a lot of fun too, even if they are BS sometimes. So yeah, I am thankful for Pinhead's power and for the secondary objective, more so the secondary objective aspect of the character. Next, we get Singularity, and okay, so look, Hux is pretty new and has only been out for half a year? Good grief. All right, I need time to slow down just a little bit, but all right, sure, yeah, half a year. Anyway, what I'm thankful for with Hux is that he represents DBD going full-blown sci-fi, which is something I always wanted to see, and I'm glad that they did it. Unironically, when it comes to the sci-fi experiment, I think they've done a pretty good job so far, and I think Hux is a big part of that. Even if, look, he's way too big-brained for people like me to play him, but he's pretty well designed if you're willing to learn the intricacies of the character. Next is the artist, and there's honestly not a whole lot I like about this chapter, but following the nerf, I can confidently say that Pain Res is one of my favorite perks. Limiting its usage and buffing its effect made it a precious commodity for killers. They can use that to overcome slow starts, and in a time where generators they just really fly by extremely quickly, it's a really nice thing to have. Let's also, while we're here, while we're on it, while we're talking about Pain Res in a Das Food video, let's just ignore that one video where I insinuated that the perk was going to decrease in usage after the nerf, okay? Okay. Next is Freddy and the little flourish he does with his knives after landing a hit. That's it. That's what I'm thankful for. I have never seen anything more mesmerizing in my life, and it almost makes up for his mediocrity in every other facet of the game. I love the flourish. It's great. It's fantastic. It's a reason to main him, and maybe the only one. Next, we have the Wraith, and I'm thankful for Wraith because he introduced to the game what is likely the coolest weapon from all of them, and he did it from the get-go. So having a weapon made from the skull and spine of your enemy is just metal as all hell, and I respect Philip for committing to the bit. I would also be thankful, by the way, if you're listening, Wraith players, if y'all would stop bringing Noed every game. I know I'm just being silly now, but look, I would appreciate it. I'd be grateful, and frankly, I think everybody would be grateful to at least some level. Moving on, we get the Huntress, and okay, look, so there are two things I appreciate about the Huntress. Firstly, I really am thankful that they added a character with a nearly limitless skill ceiling. Not only did they do that, but they did so without making her as overbearing as Nurse, Blight, or Peak Spirit, so good stuff there. But then, secondly, and more importantly, I really love the squishy sound that her hatchets make when they hit a survivor. It's just, honestly, it's just weirdly soothing, and I really like it. Next, we have the Legion, and this killer, or I suppose these killers, made a lot of people really happy, and I'm thankful for that. Discordance and Mad Grit are both awesome perks too, even if one of them is almost entirely useless. Basic attacks with no cooldown will always look amazing, so I can't say there was just a ton I loved about the Legion, but they made a lot of people happy, and I like some of their perks, so that's something to be thankful for. Next, we get the Mastermind, Albert Wesker, and this guy's a walking meme, and I love it. I love that he's a meme. He's a goofy goober with smarmy voice lines, a fit straight out of Deus Ex, and it's hair that's caught somewhere between Duke Nukem and like a 90s yuppie. He's also fun to play as and against, which is always something to be thankful for, so really just a pretty easy to appreciate package all around here. Next, we get the Spirit, and that's enough about the Spirit, so we can now move... Okay, it's a bit, fine. I will say something. If I have to thank her for something, I guess I'm thankful for Hex Haunted Ground. Whatever, fine. It's a cool perk. And she was paired with Adam, who's one of the more underrated survivors, so I guess that's it. It's just, yeah, not really a Spirit fan, but this is one of those times where it's like, if you've got something about the Spirit you like and it's suitable for the comments, let me know down below. After that, we get Sadako, the Onryo, and maybe there's a cop-out, but I am just so thankful that Sadako is here at all. I never thought we'd get a ring license, and if we did get one, I was pretty sure we'd get Samara from the American version, which in my opinion is inferior. Having Sadako in DBD is one of the cooler surprises we've had in a while, and also just a fun thing. Apparently Nick Cage loves the character, and that got him like really excited about being in DBD, so Sadako just keeps winning, and honestly, because she's in the game, we're all kind of winning too, so thanks all around. Next, we get Nemesis, and I am most thankful that Nemi was chosen over the other Resident Evil villains that could have had this spot, because Mr. X, Jack Baker, Lady Dimitrescu, they're all awesome. Like, I'm not denying that. I do like all of these characters, but Nemesis has always been my favorite of the bunch, and I'm really glad he got the nod, even if he had to be massively nerfed just to fit the kind of strict confines of DBD's loop and how it plays. You can't have a lore-accurate Nemesis, but, you know, for what they had to work with, this was pretty good. Oh yeah, and there's also the fact that he just straight up, you know, here comes the giant fist, he just punches survivors, which is incredible, and it's one of those animations I can watch it 1,000 times and I'll just always like it. So a lot to like here. I'm a big Nemesis guy. I think Nemesis is cool. I just hope I never have to play against him, because he's not that fun to play against. Next is Oni, and again, this is another one where there's lots to be thankful for. I would say, with the best member of the Yamaoka family. Amazing aesthetic, really fun power, and while his perks aren't amazing, I am glad to have Zanshin tactics in the game, even if that one tome where you have to use it is it's not my favorite thing. It's not my favorite thing, but look, I've made no secret that Curse Legacy was absolutely one of my favorite chapters, and really, I'm thankful for almost everything that it brought to the game. It was just it was a good time to be Das Food, because wow, that chapter really, really blew me away. Next, we have the Executioner, better known as Pyramid Head. I was tempted to do another I'm just thankful he's here type of post, because, you know, I mean, I am, but I'll refrain from getting too repetitive. I don't want to cheat on these. So what I'm really thankful for with Pyramid Head is kind of obscure, but I'm really thankful that there isn't a head model under the helmet. Plenty of people have speculated what he looks like under the mask, and honestly, the speculation is more fun than any actual answer ever could be, so good on the devs for not giving him a face, because I'm sure there was at least some discussion of doing that, and I think it's a lot better off. It's a lot better off that they didn't, because that way we can just kind of, he gets to look like whatever we want him to look like, however horrifying or otherwise it would be, and I prefer that, especially with a horror character, obviously. Next is the Knight, and this is another very personal one, but after having lived in and fallen in love with Hungary, having a Hungarian killer is just extremely cool to me. Tarhos is a beast, and I remember seeing him release while I was living in Budapest, and I got so hyped, because I'm like, man, once I get stateside, I'm gonna play the heck out of this guy. I'm gonna play as the Hungarian killer a lot, which I did, and I really, really like the Knight. I'm one of the 5 people who does. So there is that personal element to me, but then there's also the fact that he's just a medieval knight, which is a concept I always wanted to see in the game. For the longest time, my kind of list of demands from behavior has been number 1, pirate, number 2, knight, and we got the Knight, so that's really cool. I just really, really like the Knight, and I'm so thankful he's here. So this is one of them that I would say he's one of my favorite killers. We now get the good guy, which is of course Chucky, and with Chucky, I'm really just thankful, I think, to have a killer that I'm hyped to play as strictly for gameplay reasons. Like, and that's not to say I don't like the movies. I generally do. I wouldn't say I'm the biggest Chucky fan out there, but I think the movies are all right. I haven't seen the TV show, but I've got a mixed reviews on it. Some people really like it, some people really don't, but it looks like it kind of keeps the spirit of the franchise alive, so that's cool. But I guess for me, I look at this, and from gameplay perspective, it's like after Wesker, they went on this run that went Knight, Skull Merchant, Singularity, and then Xeno. And of those, I only really enjoy, as I mentioned already, playing as the Knight, and I don't like facing any of them. I think they're all kind of miserable to face. I think Skull Merchant is just like a less fun clown to go up against. So Chucky though, Chucky looks like a blast, and I'm excited that it seems like the devs have made another banger of a character, even if he's pretty powerful, so we're gonna see if he gets old fast. But for the time being, I am so thankful to have a character that I just look at purely gameplay wise and say, wow, I can't wait to be in a match with that. Next is the Trickster, and congratulations, Trickster. You have won the special sweepstakes, the most special sweepstakes, where the commenters get to decide what they're thankful for when it comes to you. And don't worry, this is not just because I, Das Food, can't think of anything that I like about you. I love getting hit by Starstruck and not being able to open exit gates, and your power, which is in a word, infuriating, and it's just gonna get worse with these upcoming improvements to it. So no, look, I love Trickster and all the stuff with just head down to the comments. They're gonna be saying nicer things for you, okay? Quick side note though, Trickster did come with Yunjin, and she is the most based survivor main pick. So if you want a genuine compliment on my part, it's that Yunjin is just really, really cool. Next is the Skull Merchant, and this is an Edge moment, right? Like, you think you know me? You probably expected me to just skip over Skull Merchant, or to mock her in some kind of way, like I did Spirit and Trickster and all that. But here's the thing. There's one thing about Skull Merchant I'm genuinely thankful for. And it's not sarcastic, cynical, or negative in any way. I'm genuinely thankful for the Shelterwoods rework. It looks great, it plays well, and is an overall welcome addition to the game. I can't believe I'm saying this, but that map is a massive W for Tools of Torment. So there you go, a genuine compliment. Next, we get the Shape Michael Myers. Another easy one here. I'm thankful that Michael opened the floodgates and brought normies like myself into the game. The Halloween chapter was DVD's coming out party for the general public, and you can't overstate just how much that chapter meant for the game's growth. It was huge, even if, as described in a recent video by Asimovs, it was pretty problematic in a lot of ways in terms of what it introduced, but it was still so huge in just growing the game in a way that nothing ever had before. And really, in a lot of ways, ever has since, despite what some raw numbers would say with like Steam charts and all that. But yeah, there's also room to be thankful for how well adapted Michael's stalker persona is into the game, so a lot to like on this one. Next is the Hillbilly, Max Thompson Jr., and I've been critical of Behavior's writing in the past, and I still don't think it's really all that great in the present. If I'm being entirely honest, I think the writing is probably the weakest part of their whole shtick at this moment, but I am thoroughly thankful for characters like Hillbilly, who remind me that the writers are capable of hitting home runs in the right circumstances. If they put their minds to it, they can come up with some really, really cool stories. And Billy's lore, it's dark, it's disturbing, and ultimately, it's very engaging to read. I actually liked it so much, I made an entire video about it, and if you want to check that out, I'll put the little card on there because it didn't get a ton of views, but it is one of my favorite videos I ever did, just because I thought it was fun. But yeah, Billy's lore is actually pretty cool, and in a game where the lore tends to be a little rough, I think that's something worth celebrating. Moving on, we get the Deathslinger, and not only am I thankful that we got a cowboy killer, which is cool as hell, but they even went as far as giving him a gun, which is somehow even cooler. Also, Slinger he's the only time I've ever had one of my concepts added to the game, in the sense where, like, I had always said, when people are like, okay, what's a power you want a killer to have in the future? I am so bad at this stuff. I cannot do it. I can't come up with good killer ideas, but I always had this one where it's like, well, what if a guy sent something out and like kind of reeled you back in, or pulled you back in? And that's Slinger's power. So to see that actually come to the game was kind of cool, because this was the first and last time I made a good call regarding killer powers and game balance. So I'm thankful to have been right, even if it was just once. Next is the Hag, and super easy one right here. So adding hexes to the game was a massive win that's still impacting the game in a positive way to this day. So hex perks are awesome. They're the much cooler cousin of boons and scourge hooks. And I don't love the Hag's playstyle. I don't love her lore. I don't love the realm she came with. In fact, I kind of hate it. But hexes? Well, I'm thankful for hexes. Next up, the Pig, and with this one, what I'm most thankful for is the precedent that was set by it basically told us that we could expect unorthodox license choices in the future. And look, okay, so the first few licenses were pretty much as expected. Michael from Halloween, Bubba from Texas Chainsaw, and even if it wasn't the version we wanted, we got Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street. But getting Amanda instead of John or Hoffman from Saw was one I think we all knew, like, yeah, one day they'll probably add Saw. Yeah, okay. But Amanda? No, nobody thought it'd be Amanda. I mean, Amanda, there's almost nothing working in her favor, in the sense that she wasn't that smart of a character. She wasn't very... how do I say this without making the Amanda fans angry at me? She may have been the worst Jigsaw. I mean, maybe the guy from Spiral, but you know... But because Behavior made a bold choice and they put Amanda in the game, they have spawned this new generation of just diehard Amanda fans, and I think that's really cool. I definitely appreciate the character more because of Dead by Daylight. So yeah, I think that's great. I mean, look, Shawnee Smith deserves this win. Love to see her. I do wish they got her likeness, even if it's under a pig mask. It's almost the opposite of Pyramid Head for me with that. But yeah, this showed that getting creative with licenses could pay off in big ways, and I love to see it. Next is Trapper, and there is quite a bit I'm thankful for with the Trapper. So I really like the Macmillan Estate realm. I think it's great, especially now that the Infinite was removed from the Ironworks of Misery. That oh boy, that was just the worst thing ever, outside of maybe like OG Haddonfield with Balanced Landing. But yeah, the Ironworks Infinite was pretty terrible. And, you know, I also think Trapper deserves credit because Agitation and Brutal Strength are definitely just lovely quality of life perks. Trapper is definitely weak, he's definitely low tier and all that, but he makes for a great mascot for the game. And overall, I'm just glad the dude's here. I'm glad, you know, everything about Trapper. It's just, it's a really nice little package rolled up into one giant man. Next is Nurse, and I'll be honest with you, I don't like the map she came with. I don't like the power she has. I don't like the survivor she was bundled with. And I don't even like something as simple as her chase music, which is fine, right? It's fine. Thanatophobia is a joke of a perk, and Strider isn't much better, so screw it. Nurse's Calling. I'm thankful for Nurse's Calling. What a perk. That's that one's neat. I guess I could also be thankful for the fact that when Survivor was at its most busted, the Nurse was at her most busted, so at least there was some amount of counter there. Even if I'm just really not a fan of this character, just because I think she kind of complicates the game, where I think maybe they would add certain things in terms of perks and all that, but they can't because they know they'd be busted on Nurse. Not really a fan, but thankful, you know, whatever, if she's your main or something, hey, I'm thankful she makes you happy. That's cool. Next is the Twins, and there are things to criticize the Twins for. Absolutely. But one thing I'm thankful for is how fun it is to play as Victor. Charlotte, just an M1 killer. But Victor, yeah, that's choice. That's lovely. He's a cool little gremlin, and I'm kind of surprised more people don't play as him, despite the character's clunky nature. I like the Twins. I like Victor especially, and I'm very thankful that he's here. For Blight, who is up next, I would say it's cool that we got a Scottish killer, I guess. I'm thankful for that. You know, Scotland. I don't know, Scotland's cool. So lots of people like to play against Blight as well. So I don't really understand that one myself, but I am glad that they enjoyed. I'm super glad that's cool for them. I'm a fan of people liking the game, so if Blight helps people to like the game more, great. Yeah, I'll be thankful for that with Blight, even if, again, not my cup of tea. We've entered into the final three here, and for the third to last, I'm going to go with Ghostface, who is, I'm actually thankful that they got the Fun World version of Ghostface instead of the Scream version, which I realize Scream is licensing from Fun World themselves, but you get my point, right? They didn't go through the Scream franchise, they went through Fun World, who just owns the mask, because if they had gone through Scream, we likely wouldn't have gotten nearly as many awesome ghosty cosmetics as we have right now. So that was a great call. I'd love Cindy Prescott, obviously, horror's best final girl, to be added later on, but for the time being, I'm really happy they just licensed directly from Fun World because I think that's been better for the players. Next to last is the Clown, and I mean, where do I start with the Clown? This guy has been my main for almost my entire DBD career, if you can call it a career, but he's my favorite killer by a country mile, and there's a lot to be thankful for. His aesthetic is awesome, his perks are great, not you. His map is pretty good, Kate is cool, I like Kate. Bottle tosses feel great to hit. His add-ons are actually useful, his cosmetics are the best of any killer, fight me. And his laugh is just to die for. This thick boy carries DBD on his back, and even though a great many players hate his guts, which I think is hilarious, I love Clown, and I'm super thankful he's in the game because he's my absolute favorite. And lastly, we wrap up with Bubba. So Bubba, who is, to me, the most fun character in the game to loop. Specifically, like if you are the survivor, he is the most fun. Looping Bubba is a ton of fun, and I enjoy that, I guess that process of scrambling from one pallet to the next, and usually just barely making it and staying upright. There's something very fun about it, because Bubba, it's very much like, it's a matter of time, he will get you eventually, but it doesn't feel like BS. If you're really good, you can keep Bubba going for a very long time, and if he commits to you, he's basically throwing the game. So Is he the strongest killer or anything like that? No, he's really not, but he is very fun to face, and he's got the goofiest community of mains of any killer, and it's not particularly close, by the way, so even if you get face camped by him, it's still a pretty good time. But that is, of course, going to be the last killer, and that'll do it for me. So please do let me know down below if you do you agree, do you disagree with all the things that were said here. Look, I get it. This is just a fun little Thanksgiving video, so I hope you could just sit back, enjoy it wherever you are. I hope you're having a lovely time. I know the entire world doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving, so if you're in a country that doesn't celebrate it, you were formally invited by me, an American, to celebrate Thanksgiving. Just, you know, give some thanks for the things that are good in your life, and I hope it's a lovely day for you wherever you are. I do ask that maybe you check out my Twitch. I've been streaming a lot more consistently, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'd love to see you over there. It's DOS_food. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Take care wherever you are. And until next video, I have been DOS_food. Bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my